Hey guys, and welcome to the latest in the SleepyTalk podcast. Today I'm joined with an old relic, the Ginger Ninja, who's not been ninjaing that recently.
I don't think
Hello.
I'll be ninjaing again. I'm 30 this year, mate. I'm feeling old.
Yeah, you are old. But anyway, we're joined with Kyle. So Kyle, how have you been?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Tough lockdown. But yeah, getting back out of the side of it, so it's all good.
Nice. Yeah, I think we're all pretty much the same. But we had a very fun lockdown. Well, not lockdown because we're out of lockdown now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Evening where we sat down, we chilled out and we watched Godzilla vs Kong.
It was a good night. It was actually a really good night.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a bit of a flop, given that it was mainly edited during a lockdown. But
Yeah, because in
really
Snyder
well.
Cut, you can tell some of the CGI bits are bad on there. So I was a bit apprehensive about how the CGI would look coming into Godzilla vs Kong. You know, like you say, because we're in lockdown. But
Yeah,
I was impressed, man. I was impressed.
yeah, I thought it was. Well, yeah, come on, it were incredible. So yeah, that's our podcast today. We're going to be talking about the actual film, which we did a trailer without you on that one. So sorry you missed out on that, but you know what, you've been elusive,
No,
and
it's
I'm
cool.
not taking any blame for that one.
I'd have probably had some input on that as well.
Yeah, probably, but you haven't. So the story, I thought. In my opinion, I'm going to be really bad on this one. The story was a little bit erratic, but at the same time, like, I'm not sure how they would have done it any better.
No, I have to agree with that. I said to you on the night, I said this storyline's gash, and that actor, which we'll get on to, being in it. But yeah, it was just the story didn't really. It didn't glue well with the action scenes, if you know what I mean, the side story and stuff. But saying that, like you say, I don't think they could have done it any better.
No. I think there were certain bits that probably could have been left out, like the returning of old characters from King of Monsters. I'm not gonna lie, mate, I weren't really that bothered. Like,
No.
it weren't necessary. I didn't see what they added to the story other than turning up at a certain point later on and seeing, well, pouring whiskey on a computer, which apparently stops satellite signals.
I thought some of it was just a fan service, if anything. But
Yeah. Well, I think there was that many variables to consider. Oh, a huge fly is just like dropped onto my screen. Then that
I thought you were
shit
about me.
up.
Then I was like, what?
No, it just literally just jumped in front of me. I don't know whether it caught it because I've got the background thing on, but
Okay.
it's just on my screen. It's like a huge horsefly about that big. I think it's eating one of my fish, but I can't read
Yeah.
now. Hang on, go. So yeah, there were that many variables to consider. And I'll just put a spoiler alert here. I was meant to put one in earlier, but I'll put a spoiler alert here. What we're going to be talking about will spoil the film. So
To be
if
fair,
you've not
if
watched
anyone's
it,
clicked and they've read the title, they've seen the thumbnail, then it's on them, really.
yeah. So we'll put that in now verbally. So at this point, if you complain that it's been spoiled for you, then don't procreate, don't have kids. Like,
Jesus.
I'm not being funny, mate. It will be in the title, it will be on the thumbnail, and it's just been read now. So there were a lot of variables to consider. So you had the previous film where Kong and Godzilla, although Kong walked out of the water, Godzilla was gone. Nobody knew what happened, so they needed to give an ending to that. Because if it had been the same, just a remake, then people would have been up in arms about it. And I'm glad they didn't do that, because I thought that was a big cop out. There were some really cool parts in it. So the variables about like Apex replicating that Alpha Titan signal from the Orca machine.
Yep.
So I noticed in this film as well there were quite a few throwbacks to the previous film, but we'll come on to them as we go through them. I did say to you on the night though, I was really surprised that the the engineer didn't take a picture of this, what we found out to be Mechagodzilla's eye, why he didn't take a picture of it. And then
Yeah,
as I was
flip
writing
razor
this,
phone.
yeah, but as I was like writing this, I realized he's an engineer. He probably has to leave his phone and stuff at his locker, so he wouldn't have been able to flip his phone out and
true.
record it. But you know,
But still, being the conspiracy nut he was, you'd have thought he'd have had something on him to just record anything at any point, because that was the main reason he was infiltrated Apex. So it was just, do you know what I mean?
yeah, you'd have thought because he'd snuck a USB stick in. He'd
Yeah,
probably
his
have
primary
camera.
primary thing there wasn't to work. Do you know what I mean?
No, it was to sell his gourmet hand sanitizer and steal information. But
I forgot about the hand sanitizer.
Yeah. There were some other things like how they sort of scripted Ghidorah into it, but we'll come on to that later again. So moving on to sort of like the sort of first scene that we kind of get into is Kong being inside of an artificial landscape while also still being on Skull Island. As confusing as that sounds, it was done really well. And the fact that they incorporated the fact that he was growing and he was outgrowing this facility did help a lot. And I think the previous film for the sort of decade that it was set to helped a lot when it came to it's like Kong's not going to be big enough to take on Godzilla. Guess again. His growth had accelerated
throughout the film in some shots anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And Godzilla shrunk a couple of times.
Yeah. I think
Came back up.
But the CGI is great. Yeah. No.
Yeah. I can let them off. Because when you're looking at the span of things, like
you've got
for
to
what they wanted to achieve with that, and how they did it, I will let them off. So I kind of wish they went into more detail on the storm, because every scene that went back to Monarch's facility, it was in a storm, and they kind of briefly mentioned that a storm rolled in, and that's why the little girl was sort of best friends with Kong because he saved her. But I'm like, what is this storm? Why is this storm here? Like the sort of fundamentals around that was a bit like, oh well, this happened and now this happened and that's it. No more questions, please. Like I'd be really interested in why that storm's there.
Yeah, I think it will you've got your main event, and I think the main event weren't going to be long enough, so they've had to add stuff. I don't think there's too much of a backstory to that, to be honest with you. But I could be wrong, like I say. But it could have been filled out a little bit better.
Yeah, it would be interesting to just sort of know, like background lore, maybe somewhere to read. I'll have a look later. Probably I will do. Let's be fair, it's me.
Could have just been where they were. I mean, they were ready to. Oh, sorry.
Well, I know that there was a storm surrounding the island, so I don't know whether that storm's like spread across or whatever. But it was just it was just briefly mentioned, and I think if they'd have not mentioned it,
you wouldn't be thinking about it.
It wouldn't have made a difference, though. It wouldn't. The potential plot hole that I don't kind of want to go too deep in. There's a few, but this is one that I kind of like. It stuck with me when I was watching the film, not after. Is the Skullcrawlers? They came out of the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in the Kong film that they came out of the Hollow Earth and they live in tubes that connect to the Hollow Earth and our Earth. So why did they need to take Kong to Antarctica?
Is that a question or rhetorical?
No, it's a bit of both, really. If the Skullcrawlers are there, then surely there's an opening to the Hollow Earth on Skull Island.
Yeah.
So why did they need to take him to Antarctica? Why couldn't they just walk him to the hole?
Didn't they say they couldn't though? I think they did address it.
I'm not sure. I didn't notice it, but if I did put in my notes something that I might have missed.
That's why they recruited the what's his name? Main guy that led the expedition.
Yeah, the guy who came up with the Hollow Earth theory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, him.
He was saying that at the entry point or something, weren't he?
I know that he knew of an entry point in Antarctica because that's where his brother died. But I have put in my notes though. Maybe it's something that I missed. Maybe it is. Maybe you're onto something.
Might be worth a rewatch.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will mention because like I said, I'm sure that's why they went to him because he knew about the entry point and that obviously the story with his brother and stuff. And I'm sure that's why they went that way. I might be wrong. I might be just paraphrasing or whatever. But
yeah. To be fair, they did say that they didn't know where a point was, and he did. So maybe they just didn't know that Skull Island had one, and it was just a crazy veteran that was on Skull Island that knew that they came out of tubes. I don't know, but yeah, that was one that confused me. But the other one was so it's Monarch that was in charge of Skull Island, the facility, weren't they?
Yeah.
So that's the so where were Apex getting their skull crawlers from?
Never explained.
Did they have a dodgy deal with Monarch? Was that the thing? They'd give them protection so that they could take skull crawlers? It just didn't get explained.
No,
it was just weird. But anyway,
well, that's what I meant about the story being so gash. It was just so. It was good, and it was like I say, it sufficed what you needed for the film, but there's just so much that isn't explained in it.
Yeah, it kind of shocks you, but it's like not in a sort of like, oh wait, it's more of a huh?
Yeah,
why?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So, but anyway, I don't want to go too deep on it because all in all, I'll give you my rating for the film later, but I really did enjoy this film. There were just a few little niggly bits that kind of, but I absolutely love the sea battle that they had when they were transporting him.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
I think the build up to it when Kong's on the ship and he's doing his sign language and saying home, and I mean it wasn't really important for the film, but at the same time, like it was a good filler point.
He was literally a sitting duck as well. I think that's the words they used as well, weren't it?
Yeah,
sitting duck when he was all chained up.
Yeah,
and Godzilla got the advantage big time there.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that the way that they did it as well, it kind of appeased a lot of people for the theory that Zilla could just drag him down and drown him, and that'd be it. And he practically did that, except for the depth charges were fired to free him, which again, I'm happy with the outcome.
Kong does get a lot of help in this film, and I'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, like you say, the depth charges, right?
Yeah.
Without them, I don't know. I reckon
you were dead.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you were dead. He was taking him down into a trench. Like there was no way back for him.
No.
But there was one bit from the actual that sea battle that I was like, oh no. And I think surely you remember it. It just when Kong sort of like gets released, he flips the boat back over, he jumps on it, and then he looks at this small little trailer boat next to the aircraft carrier. And I was like, oh no, that poor boat. And then he just leapfrogs from one to the other, just destroying this
Cinematically, though, that looks fucking insane.
Oh, yeah, it was. But I knew it was good.
The whole sea scene was brilliant, mate. Start to finish on that.
Oh yeah, it reminded me of like battleships in a way. That film, that was like the way that things are blowing up and things like that. It was really good, and like Zilla again, just the sheer OP-ness of him was just like he was smashing everything to bits. Absolutely,
he's
everything.
OP. He's just OP. But I'm a big Kong fan. Don't get me wrong, but you gotta get Zilla, bro. He is so hard.
Oh, he's insane. He's insane. I honestly don't think Zilla would have killed Kong either. When he dragged him down, I think he'd have just waited for him to pass out and then let go.
Yeah. We said that through the film, though, didn't we? I remember us saying we were talking about it. We said like All he needs to do is just say, "I submit,"
Yeah.
and then it'll all be over. But Kong's got too much pride for that.
And plus, Kong's still young. Kong doesn't know the outside world other
Yeah.
than Skull Island, and this was kind of like his sort of awakening. He's pretty woke now, I'll say, to the real world. um, he did get to see a lot of things, and he's a lot more wiser now. He wasn't wise to start with. You can see it go. It goes from like this caged animal to someone that like actually is smart. So there was a really good scene in this that I noticed is when they turn the boat off and Kong's like laid out on the deck completely battered, and he's got no fight left in him. He's literally fighting to breathe at this point and
Yeah.
and regain consciousness. There was a really nice throwback to King of Monsters when Godzilla's got his threat display going off at
Yeah.
sub, and they say put the shields down, like stand the weapons down, like let's show him that we're not a threat, and he's doing this like sort of it was a threat display. It was a light show as they called it, but it was a threat display, which it was a nice throwback to turn everything off. Kong's not really like his heartbeat wasn't hammering like mad. It was really slow because he was trying to regain like some vitality. So in sort of like the alpha world of Zilla, I guess he thought he'd won, like seeing a bit, which technically he had won. There was no fight from that point. If Godzilla had come for him, that really would have got
100%.
all of them dead.
100%.
Yeah,
That
Kong,
fleet,
Kong was
the whole
done.
fleet would have just been in flames.
Yeah,
Just burnt, basically.
yeah.
But
Just got
the punch, though, we just talked briefly about Kong's fucking right hook.
Oh yeah, that was insane.
Looks
But did
so
you
good.
notice like the trailer made it look like he sort of battered Godzilla with that punch, and as powerful as that punch was, Godzilla just took it.
Oh, he
and
hooks
literally
back,
just
didn't
he just took it and then slashes back.
he?
And it's like, yes, he does move his head down quite a lot, but his legs don't move.
The size of Zilla's head to Kong's fist as well.
Oh yeah. Imagine your fist being twice the size of the head that you're punching. Yeah. But no, he did put up an incredible fight in that fight scene.
It's terrain
Incredible
as well,
fight.
mate. And
Yeah.
He's out of terrain, and he still put up the fight he did. So props to him. You got to give him that.
Yeah, 100%.
So-
He definitely deserves some respect for the fight that he had, and he definitely deserves that Titan status. But he just there was no way out for him, but he put up a really good fight. So moving on anyway. If you're done with that,
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yep.
yeah. So if we go on to sort of like the Hollow Earth, I've spoken about every bit from now on, but I just want to know your first thoughts about the Hollow Earth.
Graphically, something else. And we actually mentioned as well, they left the sky out the trailer, didn't they?
Yeah. So they added sky into the trailer
Yeah,
rather than
yeah.
having it. Yeah,
And
which was. I'll have to confirm it because I'm sure I didn't see.
No,
the
it weren't.
mountains.
No, it weren't. But
Yeah.
stunning visuals. Like, you're not going to get better CGI, are you? Let's be honest.
No.
The way, what's the creature called that's tries to suffocate him? He just rips it in
Warbat.
half. That's
The
it.
Warbat.
Yeah. Just rips it apart. That looked insane. When it hissed at him as well. What's it called? Sorry,
like it's a hellbat. So when he when it hissed at him, it was like a king cobra / like it's some sort of viper. And I was
looks
just
so good.
mesmerized.
That's what I think. That for me, with the moment, I thought, you know what, this is a dangerous place. If you're not like the status that Kong is,
Oh yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, 100%. You couldn't just be a human walking around Hollow Earth.
No,
That's
no,
one
100% not.
dangerous place.
I mean, so the notes that I got wrote down for Hollow Earth for the visuals was, wow, what a spectacle. because that's the only thing. That's the only thing that I could think of putting.
Well, I
because...
remember when we were watching it, we were both pretty much in awe, and we didn't really speak until
No.
the serpent thingy mabob hissed and that, and then that's
Yeah,
when
the
we were like,
warbats, yeah.
"Fucking hell, that looks insane."
Yeah.
And then when he ripped it apart,
yeah, the blood
Bro.
going everywhere and smashing it against another one, and I was just like, but the whole scene of Kong and the craft going into the portal, like, how trippy was that?
yeah,
It was
yeah.
like they'd gone warp speed and then they'd come back, and then it was like a bit of Star Wars, but then they were inside Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings were coming out, and Frodo were like,
thrown in there as well.
yeah, you know, and then and then how they was going up and down because of the gravity, and
To be
I just
fair,
thought
though,
it just looked fantastic.
To be fair though, if I sat down with a design team and said, "This is what we've got to do," how are we going to make that come out on screen? That's something that's going to be quite hard to visualize in a way that you can.
Oh, we'd never come up with it.
No, 100%. So props to design team.
Yeah.
You know, the graphic design team has done that. But
Yeah.
because I couldn't physically imagine. We aren't seeing that, obviously. I couldn't imagine going and then hitting a zero gravity point where the gravity. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's insane to even comprehend for a normal mind, really.
And the whole Hollow Earth thing anyway, I'd expect a ceiling, not another land base above you. That's like a mirror dimension sort of thing. I'd expect a ceiling and maybe like a giant waterfall or something that's coming from the sky. You know what I mean? I wouldn't think you'd have two sort of land masses on top of each other.
Well, I think the idea is that it's a circle, isn't it? So it's it's like the outside of Earth, but smaller, so you can actually see the roof. You could walk on the roof because there's a point where it jumps, isn't there? And then
but it's not like a roof. It's not a roof though. In my image, the roof would be just a bit of crusty rocks going round, not a whole landscape where there's literally grass and statues and mountains and forests that are upside down to you, but are you upside down to it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the trippy bit that I was getting at. But it was just insanely cool. It was just, and you know, there was a pterodactyl, I think, at the start flying. You know, there was the warbats, there was those crabs that he stood on.
And then I forgot about them.
And then this doggo looking thing comes over and munches on him, and I'm like, well, that's insanely big.
Like, what is the food chain in Hollow Earth like? Realistically.
Yeah, I mean, those crabs were about up to Kong's, I don't know, ankles.
Massive, bro.
They were up to his ankles, so they were big crab, maybe even bigger. And then this doggo comes along and just munches them in one. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was massive too. Like, everything was big and big enough to fight Kong, but he only fought one thing. And I was like, so maybe the food chain is where it is, you know? And obviously the visual aspect of it was perfect. But the one thing that I found really funny was, you know, the Hellhawks that were in the actual monument with him. Yeah. When they dropped down and you got an actual look at them, it reminded me of that, you know, the bad penguin leader from Happy Feet.
No.
Have you not watched it?
I've watched Happy Feet, which is something that I know.
The Scottish penguin that casts him out. I'll put some visual representation of the actual
up on screen.
Hellhawks and the actual penguin, because it was just the eyes sagging and the like crooked nose, and it was really weird.
Even they look good in their own aspect, though.
They did look a bit. The facially, I wasn't like sold on, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to be sold on everything. And that's somebody's creative design, so we'll just leave it there.
You got to think how evolution works down there, bro. Like, I don't think they had a choice how they looked.
Yeah, but can we just have a huge shout out to Thor for lending Kong his Stormbreaker?
Oh yeah, 100%. See, I didn't. Some of that scene was a bit. What's going off? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I mean about the storytelling in it. It's just a bit. I don't know, but it was sick. I liked when he jumped from the mountain to the monument, and Cossie jumped from a mountain through the gravitational shift.
Yeah.
Flipped, and then landed on the floor again. That was sick.
Yeah, it was good. Sick. And it just shows his intelligence as well, because he didn't. It weren't like he sort of tested it with a rock. He pushed it, didn't it, to see what had happened with it.
I'll
I can do this, and then just did it. Which again, it just shows his intelligence sort of there. But I get what you mean about the axe. The axe was just there, but it was in a tomb technically. Um, and yeah, it it did. So with the axe, for me, it's clearly like a dorsal plate from a Godzilla. Maybe not the Godzilla, but like an
Ancestral.
ancestor.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
He went on ancestry.com, got some relics,
There
and
was talks of the ancestors of Kong and Zilla, though, weren't they, as well?
yeah, there was a war that
Yeah.
they fought out, which was a bit weird because in the first film, the first Godzilla film, it was like Muto. There was a war between Godzillas and Mutos, and it's like a Godzilla fighting
Yeah.
everyone.
Well, he's top of the food chain.
So, like, how many wars are a species having with Godzilla? You got the Mutos that were meant to be parasites to Godzilla sort of species and killed them and stuff, and then in King of Monsters, one of them bows down to him. Who knew there was another Muto? I thought there were only two, and he killed them both. You know.
That's
The-
how old's the Earth, really, I suppose.
yeah, and you know, it's clearly a dorsal plate. And it's weird how when he placed it into the ground in a very specific point, it glue and everything sort of went around like a ring of fire.
Which was never explained.
No, no, it was just like he put it in here and it charged it up for him. So obviously, like ancient magic, we'll just leave that there.
Well, there was a serpent that went round that ended up with Zilla's head, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, but that still doesn't explain anything. This is my point.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So it it's obviously a pretty advanced design. So for Kong's species, at least, like very intelligent, very advanced, especially with all this war stuff. The other thing that was like a bit annoying, I'll say, is just how quickly they managed to synthesize the energy.
Yeah, it was like
We've analyzed it.
yeah, just straight into the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
it's
we've
uploaded.
analyzed
It's
it.
uploaded. We can go.
Yeah.
It don't make any
Yeah.
sense.
No, like no
But how
samples or
is that
nothing.
signal even getting there?
That's another thing. I mean, we'll cross that
They're
off.
in the middle of the Earth. Like, how are they
Yeah.
getting a signal all the way up to? Were they in Hong Kong at that point? Yeah. How are they
Yeah,
getting
they
the
were
signal
under
to
Hong Kong. Yeah. So we'll ignore that bit because that was convenient that they were directly under Hong Kong at that as well. They'd gone from Antarctica to Hong Kong. We'll ignore that bit. We'll leave it where it is. The other thing that we'd probably think about is how quickly they synthesized that energy source. So they got the information, they sent it up, and he was like, "Yeah, put it in." Like, who's made it? Who's made that energy?
Completely unknown element as well.
Yeah,
you're talking stuff that's not even known. Like,
it's literally known from Godzilla. That's it. And all of a sudden, you've managed to synthesize it and put it into a robot just by receiving the information on what it is. That's it.
It wasn't fully stable, though, was it? To be fair.
No. I mean, it wasn't stable. But when did they make it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
There was no time lapse. It was literally like, we've got this information. Yeah, put it in.
It was in the time that they got back up to Hong Kong as well.
Yeah. So it was just like maybe an hour, but they hadn't even synthesized it. This is the thing. He's like, yeah, just put it in, because they had the argument. We don't know whether it's stable. He's like, nah, just put it in.
Yeah.
I'm paying for it.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
We'll put it in.
It's only your brain that's attached to it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So it just that was a bit, But speaking of Hong Kong, though, visuals yet again insane. The fight kind of went how I expected it to. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, 100%. You're talking just Kongzilla.
Yeah. Just Kongzilla. Yeah. So Kong using concrete jungle.
Yeah.
As his playground. I think I mentioned parkour 3 times during when we were watching it.
Twice, I think, actually.
All right, twice. Yeah. Well, parkour.
You're not that predictable. But yeah, visually again, amazing. I can't really fault anything visually in this film, mate, if I'm honest with you. So I'm just going to keep saying visually fantastic because it was. You know,
except for that one actor, which you visually don't like looking at.
I just don't understand how he's getting acting roles.
Basically, he's talking about
in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, the kid from Deadpool 2.
And
Fire Fist.
And then I watched Christmas Chronicles a few years ago on Netflix. I thought, you know what? That's the first Christmas film I've seen in ages that's genuinely like could be a classic Christmas film. Normally they're not. They're just a Christmas film. But I thought, you know what? That'd be something I'd watch every other year or something. And then they bought out Christmas Chronicles 2, yeah? This kid, right? And he's just such a bad actor, and it just ruined the film for me. And then when he popped up in something else as well, and I was like, why? But credit to him, like he's a young lad and stuff, but he's
getting
a bad
big
actor.
roles.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's getting big roles for the skill set he has. It just makes zero sense. And these are blockbuster films, bro.
Yeah, Deadpool
you know what
2
I mean?
was
Deadpool.
To be fair, I can't say he was bad in Deadpool because it made it funny. You know, it was ironic how bad he was because it was funny.
But he's one of them actors that you know is acting, and that annoys me. It's like I don't know. I don't think he's matured enough, and I think he's still in that sort of like when an actor goes to sort of acting school and stuff like that. They tend to learn a stage performance rather than an on set performance for a film or something like that. And I think he's still got an element of that there, and it just seems very pantomime the way he acts, if that makes sense. But either way, it pisses me off and I hate him.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go down that route anymore. Just leave it. I hate him.
One thing I did notice, and I know from not legendary films, but I know from the other Godzilla films, is that Godzilla's atomic breath just kept going and kept going. It regenerated on a whim, and Kong did really well to stop it a few times. But it was just how quick he was just regenerating it. Whereas, like in the first film against Muto, it was like dum 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 dum, you know. And he only did his atomic breath like twice,
but again,
maybe 3 times.
Like Kong, he's matured. You know, he's probably got better with age, if you will.
But it's not that long since these films. So Kong has gotten like 30, 40 years.
The set times are quite far. Are they not?
No. They're not that many years apart. So Kong to now is like decades. Godzilla to now is like probably a couple of years.
Oh, fair enough. I thought it was similar sort of time.
It's pretty much our timeline. So when did the first Godzilla film come out? Like 2014?
Yeah, I'm talking year it's set. Like how old are they?
Yeah, I think the Godzilla timeline follows our timeline, but Kong was obviously set in Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So the first one. So Kong's had decades to mature, whereas Godzilla's only had like 6 years.
That's a scary thought, though, bro.
Yeah, but Godzilla's still
give him another
like,
10.
Godzilla's still like at an age where even in the first film he's at an age where he can compete, and he's got.
I think maybe it's the screenwriters just making it a bit more fair. Again,
I think so.
Both sides, yeah.
But I don't think that makes it fair. I think that it's just weird because in the first 2 films, yes, in the second film he does use his atomic breath quite a few times, and he uses it a bit more quickly. In this one, it will like an Uzi, constantly charging up.
No sort of charge, like normally it's total air charges.
Yeah,
there were no sort of just. Yeah,
it was a fast charge. It's a fast charge, and the fact that he used it to burn through the crust of the earth.
Right, I actually wanted to bring this up. How is there nothing, like, I'm not being funny, if something burnt through the crust of the earth in Hong Kong, most of them buildings wouldn't be standing at that point.
I think it's just because of how concentrated it was.
The shockwaves would still be there.
Yeah, the shockwaves would still be there, yeah. It
plus
was a bit weird.
Plus the excess dirt that's coming out of the ground. They shouldn't
that would be
be covered in dust, bro.
Yeah, I think the dust would have been vaporized because of the actual radiation. But again, people should be growing 10 heads at 3 mile away.
It's a highly concentrated dose of radiation.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I mean, look at
I get your
Chernobyl.
point. But we are talking about a giant gorilla versus a giant lizard.
Yeah, fair. I suppose
Yeah.
there's only so much
You know,
logistics we can put into that.
yeah,
But
but I do agree with you 100%. But he just used that atomic breath to fire through the crust of the Earth to the inner Earth, the hollow Earth, and
which was
still had energy.
coincidentally where he needed to be. By
Yeah,
the way,
I mean, he did take 2 steps back because he felt
did
he felt the
Did he
axe, didn't he?
actually?
Yeah, he felt the axe, and he sort of like turned around and focused his energy on something else, which turned out to be Kong's throne. But it was just convenient that Kong's thing was just underneath Hong Kong, which maybe that's why they did it. Hong Kong, King Kong,
Maybe that's why we named it.
Nice,
You never know.
nice little Easter egg there for you all. We've found it. We've completed it. Let's go.
It's Mephisto.
Yeah, the fire fist.
Mephisto confirmed.
Maybe Godzilla thought that Kong was a bigger threat, and that's why he was using his atomic breath a lot more. However, he did get shafted by Muto. He got
Could be a
shafted
fight
by
or flight.
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah is so much stronger than
100%.
Kong, though.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, no, like that can't be it. But, blah, blah, blah. It happened. That's how it was written. And it was spectacular to watch. It was really good.
There's not many films that I think this storyline's really bad, but I've come away thinking that was a brilliant film. A lot of the times, my what's the word? It's a very simple word, and it's up to my tongue.
I know which one you're thinking.
My review of a film is generally based on storyline first and foremost, as it should be, in my opinion. But I overlooked that completely with the visuals and the whole film as a whole. Anyway, so but yeah,
I think Avatar's one. That's the same.
Again,
visually,
it's exactly the same, mate. The story's not that great.
It has potential. That's the thing. They have potential for the story, and it's the same with this film. It had loads of potential, and they kind of dipped in and out of that potential. And
I suppose when you want the stunning visual graphics that you're going to get, you're going to have to cut your budget somewhere, and probably sometimes that's with the storytelling.
Yeah,
that's probably ultimately what it is.
Yeah, it will be. But I still really enjoyed it. I still did, and same as Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim's story and acting was terrible.
What Pacific Rim should have been.
Yeah, but it was terrible. But a Jaeger versus kaiju. Yeah. I'm all game for that. I'll watch them fights every day. I still go on YouTube and search up Pacific Rim fights just to watch the fight scenes. Like, I don't care about the storyline. Yeah, the second Pacific Rim film, amazing. If they can cross it over with Godzilla at some point, just for an all-out tug of war, that'd just be. It'd be a waste of money. It'd be a wasted film, but I think I'd still enjoy it. But no. So the Hong Kong fight went as expected. And me and you were both shouting at the TV at this point. Just submit.
Yeah, just let pride. Just throw pride out the window and just submit. Live another day. You know what I mean?
And you're a Kong boy. You're a Kong boy, aren't you? Really. And I'm a Zilla, and I was feeling for Kong. I was like, dude, this guy has got his skyscraper legs on top of your chest. If he wanted to, he could crush your chest.
And that's
instantly.
Testament to Zilla as well, because he didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he could have literally, like you say, he could have killed Kong instantly, and he didn't. You know, and that's why I was saying just submit and everything will be all right. But I don't know. There were many points in that fight that I was shouting, to be honest.
Yeah, but I just noticed you can see the point where where the rib cage is about to collapse, and then you can see Zilla lets off a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Like, see, I've not rewatched it or watched any scenes again. I might actually watch some fights again tonight.
It puts pressure on, and you see it sort of dip, and then he takes pressure off. So I think, and that's the point where Kong then sort of roars back at him. Is like when the pressure's off, and I think that's him submitting. In my opinion, that's him submitting. If he wasn't submitting and he was saying, "Come on, let's keep going," Zilla just let him live.
with the Martha scene.
Yeah. Did you say Mothra?
Why'd you
Mothra.
say that name?
But that little bit of mercy that Zilla showed Kong, obviously proves that our Lord and Savior Zilla Christ is all knowing. As instantly, as soon as he lets him off, Mecha shoots out on scene, and
Exactly.
just wow! I'm
I'm
still
not.
thinking about it.
I spoke to a friend the other day about the actual visuals, how sick that looked.
Mm,
I don't think they could have made Mecha look any better than they did. The
no,
only issue, and I don't know if it was done on purpose, I don't know if you picked up on it, but there was certain shots of Mecha that looked like the old Mecha, the old black and white film.
yeah,
And
I think
I,
it was done on
I
purpose.
think it was done intentionally, but it worked.
Yeah,
And it mate, the thrusters on his back, just everything about him, so OP. Like Godzilla wouldn't have stood a chance if Kong had not got involved.
so when Mecha comes on the scene,
Yeah.
and Zilla's like, I'm pumped. Let's do this. I've just finished a fight. I've just ripped an axe out of my leg. It pierced my hide. I've just taken an axe to the face. I imagine his armor plating really helped him in that situation,
Mm.
because if it had been like his legs, he would have died. You know, but he took a blow, and Mecha was just OP as hell. Like, there was nothing to Zilla. He was nothing. He came in. I think he did one charge, and then Mecha was like, "Oh, this is how strong you are. Thrusters engaged. Let's fire all these missiles at you. Let's just punch you in the face and drag you through buildings." And it was like,
Insane, mate. And the laser, what's it called? The beam thing.
yeah,
It
his
just
atomic
cut
breath.
buildings
Yeah.
in half. Like I'm talking like 10 buildings at once.
Oh yeah, and when they did the whole atomic breath off, where they were both firing at each other, and then all of a sudden, like, Mecha's like, "Do you know what? I'm just gonna increase by 10%." Vroom, Zilla gone. It was just I don't think even at full strength Zilla stood a chance against
No,
Mecha
no.
at all. Like, he was, and obviously they pulled in Ghidorah from this. Obviously, they used the
The
what was
skull.
it, the synapses and
Mm.
the psychicness of Ghidorah's skull to merge with Mecha. I don't know whether this is confirmed. I don't know whether I'm just talking out my arse, but I genuinely think that there's a part of Ghidorah inside that Mecha,
Mm.
just from that psychic ability.
I think it
Um,
was good how they did that as well. That was probably one of the stronger points of the story.
yeah, it's
To be
like,
honest,
obviously the necks of Ghidorah were too long to send
so
information
they
to and from.
communicate telepathically, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really good how they did that, and how they sort of like put a machine into the skull to then sort of bridge the connections Pacific Rim style to this mecha. Um, and how it failed hard. The pilot obviously got fried to death, and Mecha was on his, well, he was self-aware, or she was self-aware, or it was self-aware. Whatever
Yes.
happened,
Yeah.
it was insanely bad, because as soon as it realized it
See,
was self-aware, it started trying to kill everything.
that's it. Yeah. That weren't really explained over the top, but I think it was explained enough. I think a couple more lines of dialogue there would explain what's happened a bit better, but
Yeah,
it did kind of just bust through everything, and like there were no going back.
yeah.
But
But the one thing that I'm impressed with Godzilla is how durable he is, because the beating that he took from Kong and the beating that he took from Mecha throughout that whole thing was just insane. I'm talking, like, obviously I know you watched it, but for those that didn't and want spoilers, I'm talking Zilla went through more skyscrapers than anything I've ever seen. Like, he was dragged through them all. He was fired upon. He was slammed into the ground. He was thrusted into loads of stuff, and he was just getting absolutely battered. Like, there was no get up. There was no breath. He was just constant taking hit after hit after hit. And then we'll go on to your favorite bit of Kong.
Sorry, yeah, when he got jump started, what's the word?
Yeah, defibbed.
Defibbed, yeah. So they
Yeah,
defibbed him with the spaceship thing, didn't they?
yeah.
And he come back like, if anything, he come back with more life to him than when he was actually fighting Zilla.
I
Like,
think
go on.
I honestly think that was the adrenaline dump and the fact that he
Mm.
realized that the little girl was there because he didn't know at that point, did he?
Yeah. Because he opened his eyes, he saw her, didn't he? And then rolled back onto his
Yeah.
bag. And that's probably why then. Yeah, I didn't even make that connection, to be honest.
Well,
But
he
yeah,
left her. He left her in Hollow Earth, didn't he?
yeah.
Never saw him come out. Um. So yeah, I think that could have been why he's like, oh crap. Because my favorite bit of that, or of Kong's scenes, really, other than boat hopping, was the part where he like snapped his shoulder back into place.
Bro, I forgot about that. It were dislocated, weren't it? And he
Yeah,
were hitting it against a building.
building.
And
Yeah.
it were like that. And he was like, oh, mate. Yeah, that were insane.
And he just like curled it back, and he's like, "Let's go."
Right, let's go. Where's my axe?
Yeah. And he didn't even use the axe to start with, though, did he?
No,
He
he
just
went straight
ran
in.
in.
He went back for it, if I'm right.
Yeah, yeah. There's a part
And then
where
he sees it, doesn't he? And then he fights,
yeah,
and then he goes for it. Yeah, takes his opportunity and grabs it.
Mecha's literally about to kill Godzilla.
Yeah. And there's a point where Zilla charges the axe as well.
Yeah,
which I thought were really cool.
Yeah, so that's one that I've got on here really. So when he popped his shoulder back into place, I put such a cool mini scene. I went to town saving Zilla. He didn't pick up his axe to start with, but it was a spectacle to watch how powerful Mecha really was. Like you see it against Godzilla, and you think, oh, he's tired. You know, he's just had a fight with Kong. A 2v1, and he was holding his own and winning. You know, it was just insane how powerful he was. It was just.
But how powerful he were, like we both said on the night, that we wish that fight went longer.
Yeah.
Because realistically, it should have.
Yep. Yeah.
Just from how powerful Mecha was, and I don't know. I think we got the full spectacle that we would have got, and I don't think really, looking back, you don't really need much more to it. But if it was just a little bit longer, you know, and see a bit more action in there, that would have been the perfect scene.
I think because the title was Godzilla vs Kong, they focused more on that fight than.
Well, Batman vs Superman. Batman vs Superman, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. But the whole film is them hating each other.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
But yeah, no. I think if they'd have done like a scene less with Godzilla vs Kong and added an extra scene in Mecha vs those two, like it might have been a little bit better. But at the same time, I think, like you said, we got what we deserved.
Yeah, we can't fault it. That's the problem. We could sit here till we're blue in face and say, "Oh, we should have got this," or "This would have looked better," or you know. But what we got was some of the best cinematics I've seen in recent years. Hands down.
They could have had a little bit of a closer to death scene. Like Godzilla could have been like on the ropes.
Godzilla were never really on the ropes, were he?
No, he was getting battered. But he was fine to just like get back up and take the hits again and again and again. But that's his durability. That's why he's the king of monsters, because he got battered to hell when it came to Ghidorah as well.
Yeah.
You know, but
See,
he still kept in the fight. He's stronger, 100%. Ghidorah was the space dragon, weren't he? He was from another world. But Mecha versus Ghidorah.
I
think Mecha would win. With how strong Mecha was in this film. I don't know in canon, but in this film and the last film alone, I genuinely think that Mecha would win. And he's just how versatile he was, and the jet thrusters, like he's going to space with him.
He was he was changing directions at light speed. Like,
oh yeah,
But them thrusters were just way OP, mate.
Yeah, it was fluid as well. It wasn't like a big clunky machine. He was fluid in his movements. It was like he'd been trained as a ninja all his life. You know,
That's some serious programming.
yeah, serious. But Zilla's intelligence though shone through with this part though, because as soon as Kong got that weapon and he was about to die, Zilla was like, "Do you know what? I'll breathe on you for a little bit." Charged that weapon up, boom, and then they both like finished him off, and then Kong obviously got the final blow in. So it was amazing to witness, and if I'm giving credit where it's due, I'd give credit to the CGI because that was flawless from what I saw.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah,
Like I say, there's not much at all I can fault with the film. It's just brilliant. Just the storyline, mate. Storyline, just there's unanswered questions, and
yeah,
it frustrates you a little bit. But ultimately, you were there to watch Godzilla fight Kong. That's what you got. So
yeah. That's the I think that's the sort of it shouldn't really be because it was the same like you said with Batman vs Superman. But when you've got these two big blockbuster names pitted against each other, it's fight night. It's
yeah,
not let's have a story and then we'll have a fight after. It is fight night, and there's going to be a lot more action than there is story. There's going to be a lot of unanswered questions. But the way that they've done it in this film, the open questions aren't too.
I don't see
They're
him
not
as a
too
negative.
far.
To be fair,
Yeah, they're not.
You might still. I mean, there's one more film. Is that right?
I think so.
So
If they get the green light for it.
You might get some answered. You might not, but it's enough to enjoy the film. So it's not end of the world sort of questions he's answering.
Yeah. Now, so final ratings really. So I'll let you go first. Give your rating out of 5 and why.
Ooh, out of 5.
10's too easy.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that. I was probably going to go with an 8. So, you know what? I'm going to get I'm going to get a 4.2.
Okay.
Like I say, everything about the film was phenomenal. It was just a little bit of story writing. I don't think it was lazy story writing either. It was just the little niggly bits that are in the back of my head now, and I'm like, I need that answering. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, oh, actually, no, I'm gonna go 4.1 because of that actor.
Do you know what's amazing? I gave it a 4.2.
Yeah.
And then I looked back through my notes on everything, and then gave it a 3.7.
Okay.
So
what were
I
your reason?
first off, so the reason it'd be a 4.2 is probably a bit biased because of my love for sort of like Zilla and Kong and all this sort of lore and things behind
The
it.
world, yeah.
But my summary of this, as you can probably tell from my previous points, were Titans amazing, humans not so great. Especially there's one scene in it that really wound me up, and it's a bit of dialogue, and it's when they're on the ship. So Kong bows to no one.
Yeah.
It was great for the trailer, but at the end of a
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
casual conversation,
Yeah.
she's talking normally, blah blah blah. Let's have a chat, and you say, "But who's gonna bow to who?" And then
And then she
just
says
monotone.
it in that voice.
Yeah, and it's so off tone. It doesn't flow with the conversation at all. It was just like, and who bows to who? And she's about to say, oh, she could have just said, well, I don't think Kong bows to anyone, or Kong bows to no
it
one.
wasn't
She goes,
the same sort
Kong
of dialect.
bows to no one. And then walks off like, what? It just didn't flow. It just went, it was like a nice little wave, and then all of a sudden there's a 6-foot wave, and then there's pitter patter after.
Yeah.
It threw me off, and that is the reason why half a point was taken off. It's just
That's
that
fair.
one scene.
That's fair. That's fair. I think there was another bit as well which looked like it was just done for the trailer, just to build hype. And I can't think off the top of my head where it were.
It's the ending
Is it
where
where?
Godzilla's talking to Kong. When they're about to leave.
Yeah.
He comes out. Kong jumps up, and like he's ready to tussle again. He thinks he begrudgingly gets himself back up with his axe.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where Godzilla comes out from between these buildings and he roars at Kong.
And then
And
he
in the
roars back,
trailer,
and then they walk separate ways, don't they?
yeah,
On the
but
trailer,
it
they
looks like they're
fight.
about to fight.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's one of the things. But I don't think it deserves lost points. It's just good. It's a good trailer, you know.
Well, I remember watching the trailer thinking that looks insane.
Yeah,
And I've watched the other films, but very casually. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really been sort of as big on them as you are, for example. But when I watched the trailer for that, like that's a release day watch, hands down.
yeah, and we did it the day after.
Yeah, yeah.
Because COVID rules. COVID rules.
Yeah, we had to wait. We
Yeah,
watched it outside on outside still.
Yeah. Well, we did. We did watch it outside. It's not
True.
part of the house.
True.
Yeah. But no, it's because Godzilla's shaking. You can see him shaking when he roars. He doesn't usually shake when he roars, but in this scene, you can see him shaking, and to me, that's I'm ready to fight. I'm being aggressive, whereas he's not. He's absolutely broken. He's been absolutely smashed up.
It was an honor roar, if anything, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
was sort of a mutual.
But he was shaking through. Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
It was like a mutual respect, that scene. Yeah. And that's where Godzilla obviously returned to the ocean. What are they going to do with Kong now, by the way? Because he's over in Hong Kong.
King Kong, Hong Kong.
Maybe it might return back to Hollow Earth, to be fair.
Yeah, he may do, but I don't think he will. I think he'll probably find somewhere to live in, like China or something, But either way, Kong knows that he's not the alpha. You could tell when Godzilla was coming at him that he panicked, grabbed that axe, and you could tell that he was in fear, like genuine fear. He was exhausted and he was in fear, and he thought, I've just saved you. Why the hell are you coming at me now?
Yeah.
And Godzilla's like, he's roaring at him. He's not in fear. He is genuinely battered. He's shaking because he's losing strength and he's probably in a lot of pain. So that symbol of respect that you're talking about, as soon as Kong dropped that axe, it was like, that's it. He's submitted. He's done. Godzilla's already beat him twice now.
Exactly.
That's it. Which is fine, though. It's fine because Kong can beat things that Godzilla can't beat.
Yeah, I think they've both got different skill sets, which is great.
Yeah.
And they both match up against different titans. Another thing as well, which is really cool, is all the Titan shelters and stuff they had in Hong Kong. When all the people went into them, that was really sick. Because realistically, if you had two giant monsters in the world, that's what you'd have.
Yeah.
I wanted to make that point earlier, and I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's a nice bit out of context. You can edit it in earlier if you want.
No, I'll just leave it there. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. So I think without actually writing the script for the film, I think we've covered most, if not all, the things that bugged us and that we enjoyed. And pretty much that's most of the film. So if there's nothing else to add.
No, not really. Not really much to say. Like I say, the film, I loved it. Loved every bit of it. Just the niggly bits that left unanswered and stuff like that. But other than that, brilliant.
So you gave it a 4.1. I gave it a 3.7.
It would be a 4.2 if they thought a bit more about who they cast. Because I hate that kid from Deadpool 2. I'm just saying.
Mine would have been a 4.2 had it not been for that one scene where it was just off tone and it just peed me off. If that had been at the end of the film.
See, I don't think that's worth half a point, Luke.
I do. I was thinking my 4.2 was a bit biased anyway.
No,
but you are thinking it's a 7.4 out of 10. That's a 7.4 out of 10.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That's more than
yours
reasonable.
is an 8.2.
Because even stuff like Infinity War and sort of stuff like that, I'd still be at like 8.5, 9.
Yeah.
So I think that measures up quite nicely.
Endgame would be a 7 for me.
See, that's why I didn't mention Endgame.
But yeah.
Infinity War's way better. But that's another pod. That's another pod.
Anyway. So, thanks for joining me, Kyle. Probably see you in another 6 months.
Yeah, I'll stop by at some point.
Yeah. So, thanks for joining me once again, and thank you guys for listening. If you liked it, then give us a like. If you liked Kyle, I don't know why you would, but there'll be a link to our conjoined sort of group channel below. When's that video coming out, Kyle?
Mate, I don't want to talk about it. Wednesday, probably.
Okay. Wednesday, probably. So on Wednesday, in 2 days from when this comes out, head on over to PT Rejects and check us out. I'm not going to ruin it.
Cool.
So yeah, don't forget to hit like and comment
See
what
you
we
the
should
next
do
one.
next. Take care.